Yeah, hi, I'm Kyle Brennan, and we're farming here in Reporoa. It's a 90-hectare dairy farm, and we farm with my wife and 3 young children. I grew up on this farm. It's a family farm, and we've been back here for 3 years. We started off as 50-50 share milking, and then we moved to leasing the farm for 3 years, and then just last year we purchased the farm. So here in Reporoa, it's located between Reporoa and Taupo, and it's 90 hectares, a rolling farm with some steeper sidlings and pumice country. So although we get a rainfall of 1200 millimetres throughout the year, on this pumice country it dries out, and so we usually get a dry spell each February. Yes, on the farm here and stuff, we're milking around 200 and 230 Friesian cows. We do around 900 milk solids a hectare, probably up to 950 milk solids this year. We're operating as a Category 2 farm via Dairy and Z's classification, so that means we bring in some supplements. It's mostly on grass and just supplements when required. As far as the sorts of trees we've planted on the farm, there's 3 areas of the farm we think we can include trees where we're not affecting the profitability of the farm or the grass production. So we've sort of targeted the wet gullies we have on the farm with natives, which we'll have a look at. We've got shade trees and lots of the paddocks along fence lines and shelter belts, and some of the steeper sidlings which don't grow much grass, we've gone and planted alternative species, so high value timber species rather than radiata, to try and target a niche market in the future. Yeah, well, this is half a hectare gully of Californian redwoods we've planted. They're about 8 years old, and while we originally picked this area here on the farm because it was a sort of a gully, not growing much, there was sort of blackberry and stuff growing here, so we tidied that up and decided we want to put something in to sort of improve the whole overall look of the farm. So while these redwoods are going to be managed as a timber crop and stuff, potentially, you know, in 35 years time, if they look as good as the Reporoa redwoods, or gee, some of those redwoods you see actually on the coast of California, I don't think I'd bring myself to be able to cut them down. So these will be thinned out. They're due for a thinning, so half of them will be taken out and then just be left to grow with some pruning as well. This sort of adds to the overall goal of the farm. Really, we want it to become almost like a park-like setting to milk cows in, and an adventure playground for the children to, you know, have lots of fun on the farm too, because it's about bringing up the children on the farm and the whole family thing. So, you know, a farm with a few trees around the place makes it a lot more exciting. So while, you know, radiata pine grow really well in this area, we've decided that we'd sort of target some other different alternative species for timber. The radiata are great, you can plant them anywhere, there's no issues, we know a lot about how to grow them. But these other different sorts of species, they'll grow just as well. You can see the growth there, but it's just you have to be quite careful about picking the right site for them. Yeah, so blackwoods are been touted as one in the top 5 decorative timbers in the world, maybe behind black walnut. So we've planted this block here. There's 2 age groups. These trees here are coming up 8 years old, and on the other side of us here, these ones here we planted earlier on, and they're 15 years old. So those are just going to be left to grow now, while the others here still need to be thinned. Yes, as you can see, the cows are in their day paddock here at the moment, and it is February, but it's not a particularly hot day at the moment, and you see the cows all under the poplar trees there, enjoying some cooler shade. What we've been doing since myself and Madelein have arrived here on the farm is some of the bigger and older poplars and willows that have a life, you know, they have a life of say 20, 30 years if you're lucky. They start falling over. So we've been removing those, and they've been taken away as chip. That's been like a cost neutral operation. So the cost of getting those off the farm has covered, the profits from them has covered the cost of removal. So that's worked out quite well. And what we're doing is, so some of the bigger, older poplars, we're replacing those with shade trees on the farm, and we've gone for longer living trees like oaks have done particularly well here, and London plane trees. So the important thing about planting shade trees is where they get put. It's important as they grow that they get pruned up as well, and any double lead is taken out. That'll just like preserve the life of them. And also having branches up sort of say 4 metres before the bottom ones start means whenever you're mowing or spraying a paddock or drilling a paddock, it means you can get the tractor right up next to them and there's no wastage of area. It also means there's more sunlight getting to the base of the pasture under the tree, so you're not getting a sort of a dirty, messy area under each tree and stuff. As the sun moves in the sky, the cows will follow the shade around, so they're not always standing right in under some low branches. Yeah, so dairy farmers have been under the hammer for the last few years on environmental issues, things like water quality and stuff. So on the farm here we have a couple of permanent water courses flowing through the farm. So what we've decided to do is we've fenced those off and to keep stock out of them, and planted them up in native trees. So here, looking down here, you can see the main duck pond on the farm, and we've got some larch, Japanese larch. They are planted as a backdrop to the farm for amenity purposes. Yeah, so these waterways we've fenced off. We've had help with a couple of them through the Clean Stream Accord, so that means we've been able to get some grant money from the likes of Environment Waikato. So they've helped with the costs of a third of the planting and fencing of those gullies. And the sort of native plants we've put in there have been nothing flash. Just we've asked the nursery we deal with just to provide us 5 different idiot-proof species, pioneer species that we can plant and pretty much be left to their own devices once they've been released and they get above that long grass. So over the years we've been involved with the New Zealand Farm Forestry Association, and that's where we've picked up a lot of advice and on how to grow some of these trees. We've been to field days and the like, and the more farms you see, the more ideas you get on what can grow in this area. Yeah, so we're also establishing a series of shelter belts over the farm. So what we're trying to do is, especially in Reporoa here and that, we want to try and cut down that southerly wind whistling up the farm, especially through like the likes of calving and stuff. So what we're doing is any fence lines running east-west, we're looking at planting some low cover, so low shelter belt. So we're looking at cabbage trees with flax along the bottom. So something that keeps nice and short. The cows can get in out of the wind, that southerly wind. And during the winter, it also means that with Reporoa here getting lots of frost and things, we haven't got a whole lot of shading on that southern side because the trees won't grow that big. Out of the 90 hectares of the dairy farm, we've probably got about over 5% of the farm retired, whether that be in riparian plantings or forestry plantings. So since we've done that, there's been no, you think you might be giving up some sort of land that the cows could be grazing, but really it hasn't made a difference at all to the grass production we've done on the farm here. Those areas weren't growing much anyway. Yeah, so the 3 hectare radiata block here we've got on the steep sidling at the back of the farm, my folks planted that. I guess it was sort of part of their retirement savings, and just showing the flexibility of what a woodlot can bring to a family. When we bought the farm last year, part of the deal was that we bought the land, but they were able to keep that the cutting rights to that block. So while, so it's worked for both parties, we were sort of, tight for cash and what we could borrow and stuff. So like, being able to leave that behind for someone else to cut and profit from, that suited us, because we didn't have to pay the extra, and it suits them. Yeah, just another benefit too of having these woodlots on the farm is it just provides some flexibility too about when you want your money. Like, if you have flexibility in that you don't have to sell that product every year. You can wait till there's a rise in the market and then target that to be sold into that market and stuff. You don't have to, be shipping that product out the door every year when values may be low. So it gives you some flexibility there too. But just overall, having these sort of trees on the farms, whether they be shelter belts or riparian areas and stuff, it just makes the whole place a lot nicer place to be. Like we've had. We've been struck by the last 4 summers, excluding the one we're in now. We've had droughts declared here in the Central Plateau, and it gets pretty depressing when you're going around seeing no grass you've got and it's all brown and crispy. Just to have a few trees around you, the animals are content because they've got some shade and everything like that. Just makes it a nicer place to be.